Donald Trump has never been weaker. The Epstein scandal has not only brought his support amongst his voters to all-time lows, but Republicans in Congress as well who are turning against Donald Trump no matter how much he tries to intimidate them. And so for that very reason, Trump is doing the thing he always does, looking for a stunt, some political theater to pretend he's a big, strong, tough guy. And he was about to carry out that plan until it was blown up by Pete Hegseth in a leaked memo out of the Pentagon that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into how Donald Trump's plan is backfiring before it can even begin, I want to start with one of the other threats Donald Trump is launching right now against Republicans that was called out by Jasmine Crockett right here.
Make no mistake, Trump is weaponizing his idea of free speech to force folks and companies to become his political puppets to promote his propaganda. Trump and Republicans defunded NPR because they argued it was biased. Trump has removed books discussing racial discrimination at U.S. military academies, including the amazing Maya Angelou's autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. He's tried to strip funding to schools across the country if they don't remove materials that include discussions of racial discrimination or that promote diversity. And in order for the merger between Paramount and Skydance to happen, the FCC chairman and Republican-appointed commissioners required Skydance to establish a bias monitor. And in its FCC order noted reports, quote, concerning negative media coverage of the Trump administration. This is to say nothing of Trump pushing television networks to get rid of comedians and talk show hosts who criticize his administration, say like Mr. Colbert. Let's call this what it is. It's Trump weaponizing the idea of free speech to force people, institutions, and companies to be his mouthpieces. This ain't free speech, it's propaganda. Meanwhile, my Republican colleagues are out here having a meltdown over the European bill, one that, by the way, includes provisions to fight child trafficking. You know, it's frustrating because we talk about being fiscally responsible and we talk about free speech. And right now, as we're having these discussions, you know who's trying to shut down members from voting in the way that they want to vote? It's the president, who literally said he would look at anyone who decided that they were going to vote to release the Epstein files as hostile. That sounds like a threat as it relates to all First Amendment protections, in addition to the fact that it's literally contravening our constitutional duty that we swore an oath to, because we don't swear to an orange king. Instead, we have sworn an oath to the Constitution, and we were elected to represent the people that elected us. Thank you so much, and I'll yield.
If you want to know how weak Donald Trump is, just watch him. Listen to him. He is flailing at this point. He knows his Republicans aren't backing him up. He knows the calls and the threats and the strongly worded letters to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. They're not doing what they usually do. They're not falling in line. And so Donald Trump doesn't want you looking at his weakness in DC. He wants to, I don't want to say distract you, but maybe turn your attention to somewhere where he can pretend to be strong. And he's been doing that with threats. And mind you, so far, it's just been threats against Chicago. And the response from J.B. Pritzker is why we saw this latest action that was ultimately blown up by Pete Hegseth.
We have reason to believe that Stephen Miller chose the month of September to come to Chicago because of celebrations around Mexican Independence Day that happen here every year. It breaks my heart to report that we have been told ICE will try and disrupt community picnics and peaceful parades. Let's be clear, the terror and cruelty is the point, not the safety of anyone living here.
Stephen Miller is such a truly vile figure, and the cruelty is always the point. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the intention of the Trump administration. They want these big images of police raiding the streets, pretending like there's an issue that they're addressing when that's not actually the case. And if they wanted to address an issue, they could do it in DC, where the issue is the Epstein files. But of course, Donald Trump is running away, and to do so, he needs a big show. He needs a big stunt, and that is why he wants to go to Chicago. But that plan just got blown up by a memo to the Pentagon that was leaked. Apparently, Pete Hegseth really just can't keep a lid on anything happening at the Pentagon, and it's blowing up Trump's plan. I want to get into it and get into why it's going to be such a catastrophe. Journalist Ken Klippenstein posted this tweet writing, Trump administration formally requests military assistance for Chicago per a memo I obtained. Read the full document here. The memo sent to the U.S. Department of Defense from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security reads, the Department of Homeland Security requests immediate Department of Defense support to provide existing infrastructure to U.S. Immigration and Customs enforcement and removal operations, a component of DHS, to conduct operations in Chicago, Illinois metropolitan area. The support is critical to ensuring the efficient and secure handling of aliens in accordance with federal regulations and in line with ICE's ongoing efforts to address public safety and national security. So it is very important to note that Donald Trump and, of course, Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth and the way that they are moving forward with their attempted raid of Chicago is different than what they did in LA, because what happened in LA, of course, we recently saw struck down. Gavin Newsom getting another legal win on Donald Trump. So they're trying to shape the language differently. But as J.B. Pritzker has made clear, there's nothing that Donald Trump can write. This is an illegal act. They do not need this so-called support, no matter how they want to phrase it. So the governor will be turning Trump away. He has made it clear that his help is not wanted here. But Donald Trump wants to make a big show. That big show is not going to happen if J.B. Pritzker continues to make the case that he has, that crime is on the decline, not just in Chicago, but the entire state of Illinois, and that Donald Trump is only trying to cause a scene. And he made that really clear with what he said here.
For Trump, it's about testing his power and producing a political drama to cover up for his corruption. If you need any proof of this, that it's all a big show, well, look at who they're putting in charge. Gregory Bovino, a guy who desperately wants to be a reality TV star. He led the cruel adventures of ICE in Los Angeles, and he's been sent here to do the very same thing. Go look at his social media. He terrorizes innocent people and then posts on TikTok edits of himself. Apparently, this is a Trump administration norm, because the last time we saw staged major ICE raids in Chicago, they sent Dr. Phil here to embed with the agents so he could get views and likes for his social media. When Bovino pulled these stunts in LA, people got hurt. 2 innocent people died trying to flee his masked agents. ICE opened fire on a vehicle without dangerous provocation. They detained a disabled 15-year-old, drew their guns on him. They have ripped mothers away from their babies and handcuffed 10-year-olds. In Washington, they pulled over firefighters headed to fight an actual wildfire and detained 2 of the firefighters on duty in that effort. And they want to bring all of that to Chicago. During one of Bovino's raids, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol's own data indicated that their officers had no prior knowledge of criminal or immigration history for 77 of the 78 people arrested. Again, this is not about crime. More and more reports around these raids include people who were stopped or detained because of how they look, and not because of any threat to the public. If any of this was about dealing with the complexities of a broken immigration system, then Trump would have had the Congress.
Donald Trump wants a spectacle. Donald Trump wants to pretend like he cares. Donald Trump, of course, does not care. He is not trying to execute on some long-term policy goal to reduce crime. That is not what he is after. He is after a short-term, I don't even want to call it a distraction, because this is another step in his authoritarian takeover, but it is certainly a stunt. It is a stunt because there is no goal. There is no preferred outcome for Donald Trump other than people pretending that he's tough and that he's strong, and it's not talking about Jeffrey Epstein. That is what Donald Trump wants out of this. We have to make sure that we crush these Republican narratives, that they care about issues like crime, that they care about health and wellness, or that they care about free speech. It's simply not true. Someone who did a great job of that today on the issue of free speech was Jamie Raskin right here.
Protectors of free speech, but they only want to protect speech they agree with. In the UK, Mr. Farage is openly promoting the abolition of the Human Rights Act of 1998 to be replaced with a British Bill of Rights that limits the right of free speech to British citizens and legally sanctioned residents. He complains that racist threats against immigrants are not protected free speech, while he proposes to strip migrants, tourists, and perhaps even visiting American congresspeople of any free speech rights at all. I had my own close encounter with that when Mr. Farage and his team presented for more than an hour in a conversation we had about free speech. And after 3 minutes of talking, he cut me off and terminated the meeting because he didn't like what I was saying. That's the kind of free speech he's committed to. There is a free speech crisis in America today, but there's no free speech crisis in Britain. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has not shut down GB News, where Mr. Farage has his own show, just because Mr. Farage has used his airtime to call for banning peaceful protests that he disagrees with. No one has stopped him from going on Russian TV 17 times and saying also and repeating that the one world political leader he most admired was Vladimir Putin, even though Vladimir Putin is a war criminal and a dictator who has regularly interfered in other countries' democratic elections. No one has stopped Mr. Farage from parroting Putin's absurd talking points, like when Farage claimed that NATO, the US and Britain, provoked this war in Ukraine. For a man who fashions himself as some kind of a free speech martyr, Mr. Farage seems most at home with the autocrats and dictators of the world who are crushing freedom on earth.
If Republicans want to elevate these issues, progressives should not just allow them to win. Democrats should not just allow them to win. We can't worry about our perception on the issue of immigration. Let's fight to make our better stance more popular. Let's not say, when talking about crime and the success that Democrats have had in Maryland and Illinois and DC and reducing crime, that Republicans are really proud of us for doing so. Don't cede any ground. These people don't care about crime, they don't care about safety, they certainly don't care about free speech. This is the same Trump administration that was locking up students for simply criticizing Israel. I don't want to live in a police state in which being critical of a genocide that is funded with our tax dollars means you get thrown in prison. That is certainly not free speech. Now, if you're a weirdo Republican and you're socially incapable of acting like a normal person, and for that reason, you have no friends, I'm kind of thinking of J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller here, me not wanting to be your friend or be around you isn't an imposition on your speech. It just means you suck. Let's make the difference clear and let's call it out. We're certainly going to be doing so on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, triple blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.